Hello, my name is Oliver Rosales and I'm a professor of history at Bakersfield College. When I reflect on the life and legacy of the late Congressman John Lewis, several things come to mind. As a historian of civil rights in the United States, John Lewis looms larger than most. As a young man growing up in rural Alabama to a family of sharecroppers, John Lewis spent a lifetime in the struggle for social justice and civil rights and the effort to desegregate American society. When I think about his long career in civil rights activism, his leadership within the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC as it was known, was very important. He was fundamental in leading the sit-in movement in the early 1960s to desegregate lunch counters. He was integral in organizing young people, particularly from northern states, to come into the heart of the Jim Crow South to force the country to change. His leadership was recognized by being the youngest speaker at the 1963 famed March on Washington for Jobs and Justice, organized by A. Philip Randolph, where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his now famous I Have a Dream speech. Congressman Lewis spent a lifetime organizing for social justice and civil rights, and this catapulted him into public service and into public office. And he was able to combine his touch for grassroots organizing with policy making. He was able to build coalitions across racial and ethnic lines to advance social justice for all. He also maintained an internationalist sensibility. He was able to maintain relationships with several civil rights era leaders, folks like Stokely Carmichael, folks like Malcolm X, who challenged Americans and African Americans in particular to imagine themselves right on a global stage. So Congressman Lewis was able to do all of these things over his very, very long career. As a historian, one of the most significant accomplishments that I credit him for is pushing legislation to create the National Museum for African Americans that is run by the Smithsonian. He was pushing this really since the 1980s, and it finally came to fruition under the presidency of Barack Obama. And it opened a few years ago, and I had a chance to visit, and it's a powerful exposition on the 400-year history of Africans in America and the creation of African American identity, really from the time of slavery through the Civil War, through the Jim Crow period, and most importantly during the era of civil rights, which he was a large part of. And furthermore, it shows really the breadth and scope of the contributions of African Americans to American society, including things like music and food and culture. And for that, every American and every global citizen owes a great thank you to Congressman Lewis. Finally, anecdotally, I'll share that as a board member for California Humanities, every year I get to visit the Capitol and go educate members of Congress about the great humanities programmings that are happening within the state. And the California delegation had a chance to visit Congressman Lewis's office, and it is a civil rights memorial. It's a civil rights monument. Going into his office, you're surrounded by the past and photographs of world leaders and leaders within this country who have commiserated with Congressman Lewis in the fight for civil rights and social justice. And for that, we owe the Congressman a great thank you, and to continue his legacy of involving ourselves in what he called good trouble. Thank you.